Before Jesus could ride on the donkey, he sends the disciples with clear instructions. He says to the disciples, go into that village. And as you are entering that village, you will find the donkeys tied on the side. Meaning, God gave very specific, clear instructions on where to find the donkey. Before you and I can be used by God for His purposes, first, we need to be found where God expects us to be found. Do you know that? Because God has an assigned place for every child of God in the different seasons of life. Sometimes we have a misunderstanding where we're always looking for our place. No, God assigns a place for us. And a lot of times when God is involved in our life, sometimes the company that you're working for, even though you don't like it, that's your place that God has assigned you. God is hoping to do something in your life through that experience. There's so many times when God puts us in places, sometimes difficult places, but still it is a place that God ordained that you and I need to be found faithful in to be able to be used by God. There's many incidences in the Bible where you can see this happen. For example, when Saul met Jesus on the road to Damascus, God wakes up a man called Ananias in the middle of the night and says to Ananias, wake up, I want you to go meet this guy. And God gives him specific address. This is before GPS was ever available. God says to him, I want you to go down Straight Street and I want you to go to the house of Judas. And there you will find a man called Saul. I want you to pray for him. And so Ananias wakes up and goes to the house of Judas. Guess what? If Saul had decided he was going to go to Zechariah's house instead of Judas's house, God would not have found him. But because he was found where he was supposed to be, God then began the work in his life to use him to be what he was called to be. Come on, someone. Are you understanding what I'm saying? There are times where God puts us in certain places because He wants us to be in that place. Even in the Old Testament, God says to the prophet, He says, I want you to go to Zarephath. And when you go to Zarephath, I have ordained a widow there for you who will provide for you, feed for you, which means there was a two-man job, meaning the prophet, first of all, had to listen to God and go to Zarephath, and then the widow had to stay in her home because that was the place that God had ordained for her. Even though there was a famine, even though there was a lack in the land, God had ordained a place for her to be, because in that place where she had been ordained, God was about to do a miracle. Come on, someone. Where you have been placed is the place where God wants to meet with you and begin a great work in your life. Even in the life of Jesus, when Jesus began His ministry, as He went around looking to pick disciples, the disciples did not come to Jesus and say, pick me, pick me, pick me. No, Jesus went to where the disciples were and to what they were doing. Meaning when He came to Peter and John, what were they doing? They were in the boat fishing. They were where they were meant to be. When He came to Matthew, He was collecting tax. He was found where He was meant to be. And the call of God came to where they were. And today, a lot of times, what believers do is we go looking for the call. We're looking for the call of God here. We're looking for the call of God there. And I'm telling you, we do not have to look for the call of God. The call of God comes looking for us. God knows where you are. God knows where He has placed you. And if you find yourself faithful in that place, the call will come find you.